Every human being carries within them a hidden reservoir of strength, a power that often lies dormant, waiting for the right moment to be awakened. Most people never discover this force because they are too distracted by the noise of life or too comfortable in their routines to dig deep enough to uncover it. Yet, the truth is that greatness is not something you stumble upon in the outside world. It is already within you. The strongest version of yourself is not built from things you acquire or achievements you collect, but from the moment you awaken to the realization that the power you have been searching for has always been inside. This realization is the beginning of transformation, the spark that ignites the fire of inner growth. Strength is not found in comfort, because comfort numbs the soul and softens the will. True strength is born in challenge, in pressure, in resistance. It appears when life tests you, when situations push you beyond what you thought you could handle. In those moments of struggle, you are being invited to awaken that deeper version of yourself. The world around you may seem heavy, filled with problems and obstacles, but those obstacles exist not to stop you, but to reveal you to yourself. Each trial is an opportunity, each challenge a mirror reflecting the strength you are capable of becoming. But awakening your inner power requires a choice. You must decide that weakness will no longer be your identity. You must reject the lies that tell you that you are not enough, that you are limited, that you cannot rise. These lies are chains, and for too long they have kept you small. When you realize that those chains were never unbreakable, that they were only illusions created by fear and doubt, you begin to take back control. The strongest version of yourself begins to emerge when you stop giving your excuses authority over your life. Strength is not measured by how much you can lift or how much you can endure physically. Real strength is measured by your ability to control your mind, direct your focus, and maintain clarity in the face of chaos. The body may weaken with time, but the mind, when trained, grows sharper, stronger, and more powerful with each challenge. The strongest version of yourself is the one who refuses to be broken by setbacks, who sees in every failure not an ending but a lesson, and in every difficulty not a punishment but a path. The awakening of inner power is not loud. It does not arrive with applause or recognition. It happens in silence, deep within your own spirit, when you begin to see yourself differently. It is the moment you stop waiting for someone to save you and realize that you were born to save yourself. It is the moment you stop waiting for life to hand you opportunities and decide to create them. It is the moment you stop shrinking from who you are meant to be and finally embrace the strength that has been whispering to you all along. From that moment, nothing is the same. The way you think changes. The way you walk into challenges changes. The way you see yourself transforms. You no longer look at obstacles as things to fear, but as stepping stones to your higher self. You no longer ask if you are capable. You know that you are, because strength is no longer a question, but a state of being. The strongest version of yourself is not something far away in the future. It is already here, within you, waiting for you to answer the call. And once you awaken to this truth, nothing in this world can stop you from becoming everything you were destined to be. Weakness is not your destiny. It is only a pattern you have repeated for too long. Every excuse you have told yourself, every fear you have entertained, every hesitation that kept you standing still has been like a chain wrapped around your potential. These chains are invisible, but their weight is heavy, keeping you from rising into the person you were meant to become. To break free, you must first recognize that weakness is not who you are. It is only who you have allowed yourself to be. You were not created to live small, doubtful, and afraid. You were created to be powerful, decisive, and unstoppable. The moment you understand that weakness is a choice and not a permanent identity, you take the first step toward freedom. These chains of weakness often disguise themselves as comfort. You convince yourself that staying where you are is safer than reaching for more. You tell yourself that maybe you are not ready, that maybe you should wait for the perfect time. But there is no perfect time, and there is no safety in hiding. Comfort is the slow death of potential. Every day you choose comfort over growth, you tighten the chains that hold you down. If you want to become the strongest version of yourself, you must be willing to break the pattern of comfort and embrace the discomfort of growth. Pain will not destroy you, fear will not destroy you, but choosing to remain weak will destroy everything you could have been. The chains of weakness can also appear in the form of self-doubt. How many times have you told yourself you were not good enough? How many times have you convinced yourself that someone else was more talented, more capable, more worthy? These thoughts are poison and they weaken your spirit. But the truth is, the strongest people are not the ones who were born with all the answers or all the advantages. The strongest people are the ones who refuse to let doubt win. They broke the chains by choosing belief over fear. You can do the same. Belief is a weapon, and when you begin to believe that you can, you will start proving yourself right. Breaking the chains of weakness is not about one grand act, but about small victories repeated daily. Every time you silence an excuse, you weaken the chains. Every time you choose action over hesitation, you weaken the chains. Every time you rise when you want to stay down, you weaken the chains. Until one day, you realize they no longer have the power to hold you. Weakness will beg to remain, but you will have already outgrown it. The strongest version of yourself is born the moment you refuse to bow to weakness ever again. That is when you begin to live with real freedom, with real power, and with the unstoppable momentum of someone who has finally broken free. The greatest battlefield you will ever face is not outside of you, it is inside your own mind. Every thought you allow to take root shapes the direction of your life. If your mind is filled with fear, hesitation, and doubt, your actions will mirror weakness. If your mind is trained to focus on strength, persistence, and vision, your actions will reflect power. The strongest version of yourself cannot exist without mental mastery, because the mind controls everything. It is the command center of your destiny. To win in life, you must first win in thought. Every battle you see outside is nothing compared to the war being fought in your own head. Your mind will always present you with two voices. One whispers comfort, telling you to play small, to stay safe, to avoid the risk of failure. The other pushes you toward growth, daring you to take action, urging you to rise into more. The weak listen to the voice of comfort and allow it to dictate their path. The strong silence that voice and follow the call of growth. Every time you choose the harder road, the road that forces you to stretch, you strengthen your mind. Every time you resist the temptation of easy excuses, your mind hardens into a weapon of power. Strength begins here in the quiet decisions you make about which voice to obey. The mind is also the greatest creator of illusions. How often have you convinced yourself that something was impossible only to realize later it could be done? How many times have you magnified fear until it seemed larger than life, only to find it disappeared once you faced it? Your thoughts create walls or they build bridges. Weakness builds walls that keep you trapped in limitation. Strength builds bridges that lead you to new possibilities. You must decide which one to construct each day. If you want to become unshakable, you must discipline your mind to build bridges of courage, persistence, and vision. Training the mind is not optional, it is essential. Just like the body weakens when left unused, the mind weakens when left undirected. But when you discipline it, when you fill it with empowering thoughts, when you refuse to let negativity linger, it becomes the sharpest weapon you own. This is why the battle of the mind matters so deeply. If you control your thoughts, you control your destiny. If you let your thoughts control you, you hand your destiny away. The strongest version of yourself is the one who has conquered this battle, who has chosen to command the mind rather than be enslaved by it. And when you win here, no force outside of you can defeat you, because you already possess the greatest power of all, the mastery of your own mind. Life does not transform gradually by chance. It transforms in an instant, in the moment of decision. One choice has the power to redefine everything. Weakness lingers when decisions are delayed, when you hesitate, when you keep waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. Strength is born the moment you decide with conviction, when you declare to yourself that you will no longer live as the lesser version of who you are. The strongest version of yourself begins with that single spark, the fire of decision. Without it, even the greatest plans and dreams remain lifeless. With it, even the impossible becomes possible. Decision is power because it closes the door to doubt. When you truly decide, you eliminate the option of going back. You burn the bridges to your old habits, and you remove the escape routes that keep most people trapped in weakness. Too often, people live halfway in and halfway out, half committed, half determined, half alive. That is why they never see their strength. But the moment you fully decide, you change the energy of your life. Decision is a line in the sand, a declaration to yourself and to the world that you will no longer be ruled by hesitation. You are either all in, or you are nothing at all, but understand this, decision alone is not easy. The reason most people never step into their strongest self is because real decision requires sacrifice. You cannot cling to weakness and expect strength to emerge. You cannot hold on to fear and expect courage to appear. Decision requires letting go. It demands courage to face discomfort, to walk away from the familiar, to leave behind the version of you that has kept you trapped. This is why true decisions are rare, because they come with cost. But the cost of indecision is always higher, because it leaves you living a life beneath your potential. When you look back at the greatest turning points of your life, you will see they were born in a single decision, a decision to change, a decision to rise, a decision to become more than you were yesterday. That same fire of decision is available to you right now. It does not wait for circumstances. It does not depend on conditions. It only waits for your courage. And when you choose, when you decide with absolute clarity, your entire being shifts. Suddenly, your thoughts align with your choice. Your actions follow your choice, and life begins to shape itself around your choice. The strongest version of yourself is not waiting for some faraway day. It is waiting for this exact moment, the moment you decide that enough is enough, that weakness no longer has a place in your life, that hesitation will no longer be tolerated. The fire of decision burns away the old and clears the path for the new. And once the decision is made, there is no turning back. You step forward with certainty, with strength, with a power that cannot be denied. That is how lives are transformed, and that is how you become the strongest version of yourself, through the fire of an unshakable decision. Discipline is the foundation on which every strong life is built. Without it, even the brightest vision collapses under the weight of inconsistency. Dreams alone are fragile. Plans without discipline turn to dust. The strongest version of yourself does not come from inspiration alone. It comes from the daily practice of self-control, from doing what must be done even when you do not feel like doing it. Discipline is the quiet force that separates those who live in regret from those who rise in power. It is not glamorous, it is not loud, but it is the unshakable base on which every success stands. Discipline is freedom disguised as effort. At first, it feels like chains, like restriction, like sacrifice, but in truth, it is the very thing that liberates you. Without discipline, you become a slave to weakness, to distraction, to every impulse that pulls you away from your destiny. With discipline, you gain control over your mind, your habits, and your path. You are no longer pushed around by laziness or fear. You become the one steering the course of your life. Every time you choose discipline over ease, you take back power. Every time you choose consistency over comfort, you strengthen the foundation beneath your feet. Strongest version of yourself is not built in the moments when you feel motivated, but in the moments when you feel nothing at all and still act. Anyone can work when it feels good. Anyone can push forward when the fire of inspiration burns bright. But the strong are those who rise even when the fire has faded, even when fatigue whispers, even when the body resists. That is discipline, showing up again and again, refusing to be controlled by temporary feelings. It is a test of commitment, a proof of character, a demonstration of strength. And discipline is not built overnight. It is carved into you through repetition. Every day you follow through on your word, you reinforce your strength. Every day you keep a promise to yourself, you prove to your mind that you are reliable. Over time, discipline becomes your identity. It becomes who you are. You no longer ask if you will act, because the answer is always yes. You no longer question if you can persist, because persistence has become your nature. This is why discipline is the foundation. It is the guarantee that no matter what storms come, you will not break. The strongest version of yourself is waiting on the other side of discipline. It will not be handed to you. It will not appear by accident. You must build it brick by brick, choice by choice, action by action. And while others waste their strength chasing comfort, you will be building a fortress of power within yourself. When the moment comes that life tests you, it will not be discipline that abandons you. It will be the very thing that carries you through. That is why the path to strength always begins with discipline. It is the foundation of all greatness, and without it, no version of yourself can ever truly stand strong. Strength is not tested when everything is easy. It is tested when the road becomes difficult and resistance stands in your way. Every person who has ever risen to greatness has faced countless obstacles, setbacks, and moments where quitting seemed easier than continuing. The difference between those who remain weak and those who become unstoppable lies in persistence. Persistence is the muscle of the spirit, the force that refuses to bow to resistance, the unshakable will that says, "I will not stop until I win." Without persistence, even the most talented fall short. With persistence, even the most ordinary can rise to extraordinary heights. Resistance will always appear whenever you attempt something meaningful. It will come in the form of failure, rejection, delay, and fatigue. It will test your patience, your courage, and your determination. Many people see resistance and interpret it as a sign to quit, a signal that the path is too difficult. But the truth is, resistance is proof that you are on the right path. Growth does not exist without it. Every struggle you face is a chance to expand your limits, to grow tougher, sharper, and more resilient. Persistence transforms resistance from an enemy into a teacher. The strongest version of yourself is forged in these very moments of resistance. Each time you push through, you add another layer of strength to your character. Each time you refuse to quit, you grow unshakable. Persistence is not about speed, it is about endurance. You do not need to move fast. You need to keep moving, even when progress feels invisible. The greatest victories are often won by those who simply refused to stop walking when others gave up. Persistence is power because it outlasts resistance every time. But persistence must be cultivated. It is not something you are born with. It is something you choose. You choose it when you keep going after a setback. You choose it when you wake up and try again after failure. You choose it when you continue to believe in yourself even when results have not yet shown. Each choice strengthens your persistence until it becomes a part of who you are. And when persistence becomes your identity, nothing can break you. You become the person who does not quit, the person who will not stop, the person who always finds a way. The strongest version of yourself is the one who embraces resistance and answers it with persistence. No matter how heavy the burden, no matter how long the path, no matter how many times you stumble, you rise again. Resistance is not the signal to quit, it is the invitation to grow. And persistence is your answer, the proof that nothing in this world can keep you down. That is how strength is built, not in avoiding the struggle, but in outlasting it, outworking it, and overcoming it with relentless persistence. At the core of every great achievement is belief. Not belief handed to you by someone else, but the deep inner conviction that no matter how difficult the journey, you have the power to rise. Belief is the invisible engine that drives action, persistence, and courage. Without it, even the smallest challenge feels overwhelming. With it, even the heaviest obstacles become stepping stones. Belief is not just an idea, it is fuel. It is the fire that burns inside when everything outside seems cold and unwelcoming. It is the reason you stand up after failure, the reason you keep going when no one claps for you, the reason you see possibilities where others see dead ends. When you believe in yourself, you give strength to your actions. You give meaning to your struggles. You give power to your dreams. Belief is not about ignoring reality. It is about shaping it. Every great leader, every innovator, every champion began their journey with belief, long before the world gave them recognition. The world does not hand belief to you. It demands that you create it inside yourself. That creation starts with the thoughts you allow to live in your mind. If you constantly feed yourself doubt, fear, and negativity, your belief weakens until it collapses. But if you feed yourself courage, faith, and persistence, your belief grows until it becomes unshakable. The mind is the soil and belief is the seed. Whatever you plant, nurture, and repeat will eventually shape the reality you live in. Strongest version of yourself is the one who guards their mind, plants seeds of power, and refuses to water the weeds of doubt. There will always be moments where belief is tested. Life will throw results at you that contradict your vision. People will doubt you, mock you, and tell you to be realistic. Circumstances will scream that your efforts are pointless. In those moments, you must remember that belief is not about what you see. It is about what you decide. Anyone can believe when results are visible. But true belief is proven when results are invisible, when nothing yet supports your vision, and you still keep going. That is where strength is born. That is where unbreakable belief becomes your armor. The mind that believes will always find a way. The mind that doubts will always find an excuse. Belief is the foundation upon which all strength is built. It creates resilience in times of struggle, clarity in times of confusion, and courage in times of fear. You can have talent, skills, and opportunities, but without belief, they remain powerless. With belief, even the smallest effort grows into greatness. When you cultivate belief in yourself, you awaken the strongest version of who you are. You awaken the person who cannot be stopped, because they know with absolute certainty that nothing is stronger than a mind that refuses to give up. Belief is the engine, strength is the result. And with both, there is nothing you cannot conquer. Discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement. You can dream, you can plan, you can hope, but without discipline, nothing comes to life. Discipline is the inner power that transforms ideas into reality. It is the quiet force that keeps you moving when motivation fades, when energy runs low, and when excuses whisper in your ear. The strongest version of yourself is not the one who acts only when they feel inspired, but the one who acts even when they feel nothing. Discipline is not about chains, it is about freedom. It frees you from the trap of procrastination, from the weight of regret, from the endless cycle of starting and quitting. Discipline creates momentum, and momentum creates results. Without discipline, you remain trapped in wishful thinking. With discipline, you build progress step by step until it becomes undeniable. The truth is, discipline is not always easy. It demands sacrifice. It demands consistency. It demands that you push through the resistance of your own mind. The human brain loves comfort. It loves routine. It loves what feels safe and easy. But strength is not built in comfort. Strength is forged in the fire of repetition, in the grind of doing the difficult thing again and again until it becomes natural. Discipline is the hammer that reshapes your habits, chisels away your weaknesses, and sculpts your character. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you grow stronger. Every time you keep your word to yourself, your inner power expands. This is how discipline becomes the foundation of greatness. It is not about one giant effort. It is about the repeated choice to align your actions with your goals, no matter how you feel in the moment. When you practice discipline, you train your mind to obey your higher self rather than your impulses. Most people live as prisoners of their moods. They act when they feel like it, stop when they don't, and wonder why their lives remain stagnant. But the strongest version of yourself does not wait for moods, it commands them. Discipline teaches you that feelings are temporary, but results are permanent. When you master discipline, you master yourself. You no longer chase comfort, you chase growth. You no longer surrender to excuses, you demand excellence. You no longer hope for strength, you become strength. Discipline becomes your compass, guiding you even in the darkest times, because you know that as long as you keep moving, you will reach the destination you desire. Discipline is not about perfection, it is about persistence. You will stumble, you will fail, you will miss days, but what matters is the return. Every time you return, you prove that discipline is alive in you. Over time, it becomes part of your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who tries. You see yourself as someone who follows through. That shift changes everything because identity shapes behavior. The person who believes they are disciplined no longer negotiates with laziness. They act, they commit, they finish, and that is the true strength discipline gives you, the unshakable certainty that you will do what you say no matter what. Discipline is inner power, and when you build it, you unlock the strongest version of yourself. Life will test you. It will not ask for your permission. It will not wait until you feel ready. It will not stop to see if you are strong enough. It will place obstacles in your path, heartbreak in your chest, and storms over your head. And in those moments, resilience is the only thing that keeps you moving forward. Resilience is the ability to bend without breaking, to stumble without surrendering, to feel pain without letting it paralyze you. The strongest version of yourself is not the one who avoids adversity, but the one who endures it and rises stronger because of it. Adversity is not your enemy, it is your teacher. Every hardship carries a hidden lesson. Every struggle carries a hidden gift. When you stop seeing challenges as punishments and begin to see them as opportunities for growth, your life transforms. Resilience is the mindset that says, this will not defeat me, this will build me. Resilience does not mean you will never fall, it means you will never stay down. Life will knock you to your knees, sometimes harder than you imagined possible. The weak remain on the ground, telling themselves the fight is over. The strong rise, even with shaking legs, even with broken hearts, even when no one expects them to continue. Resilience is choosing to rise again and again, no matter how many times you are pushed down. Every rise adds strength. Every rise adds courage. Every rise adds wisdom. It is through the repeated act of rising that you become unbreakable. Strength is not created by comfort or ease. Strength is created by struggle and persistence. The strongest version of yourself emerges when you learn to see adversity as the fire that tempers you, shaping your character into steel. Resilience is also about perspective. Two people can go through the same hardship, and one will be crushed while the other will be carved into greatness. The difference is not in the event, but in the interpretation. If you see adversity as proof of your weakness, it will consume you. If you see adversity as proof of your strength, it will empower you. You have the choice to decide what meaning to give to your pain. Pain can break you, or pain can make you. The strongest version of yourself is the one who decides that pain will be a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. Resilience teaches you to stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? What can I learn? How can this serve me? With that shift, every challenge becomes a tool for growth. Every setback becomes a preparation for something greater. Resilience is not the absence of suffering. It is the refusal to let suffering define you. It is the refusal to quit when things get unbearable. It is the quiet voice that says, I will not give up when everything inside you wants to surrender. And the beauty of resilience is that once you build it, no storm can truly destroy you. You may bend, but you will not break. You may bleed, but you will not stop. You may cry, but you will not quit. That is resilience. And with resilience, you do more than survive adversity. You transform through it. You become wiser, tougher, sharper, and more prepared for the future. Resilience is the badge of those who become unshakable. It is the proof that no matter what happens, you will endure, you will rise, and you will become the strongest version of yourself. The greatest battlefield you will ever face is not out in the world, but inside your own mind. The thoughts you allow to dominate your mind shape the course of your entire life. If your thoughts are filled with fear, doubt, and weakness, then your actions will mirror them. But if your thoughts are filled with courage, vision, and strength, then your life will reflect that power. Mastery of the mind is the foundation of every other form of mastery. It is the ability to take control of your inner dialogue, to discipline your imagination, and to focus your mental energy on creation rather than destruction. The strongest version of yourself is not the one who reacts blindly to every emotion or circumstance, but the one who commands the mind, guiding it toward clarity, strength, and achievement. Without mastery of the mind, even the greatest potential is wasted. With mastery of the mind, even the smallest beginnings can lead to greatness. The mind is both a servant and a master. If you do not direct it, it will control you, dragging you into cycles of fear, procrastination, and regret. But when you take command of it, the mind becomes your greatest ally. It becomes a tool for vision, for creativity, for endurance. The key is to recognize that every thought you allow to live in your mind plants a seed in your reality. Negative thoughts plant weeds that choke your progress, while powerful thoughts plant trees that grow into strength and success. Mastery of the mind is the daily practice of choosing which seeds you will water. Will you water doubt, or will you water belief? Will you water fear, or will you water courage? Every decision adds up, and over time your mind becomes either a prison or a fortress. The strongest version of yourself is the one who refuses to be a prisoner of destructive thoughts and instead builds a fortress of powerful ones. Mastery of the mind is also mastery of focus. In a world full of distractions, most people scatter their mental energy on trivial things. They chase every noise, every impulse, every fleeting desire. But focus is power. When you discipline your mind to focus on what truly matters, your energy is no longer wasted. It is concentrated, sharp, and unstoppable. The ability to ignore distractions, silence the noise, and stay committed to a single vision is one of the most powerful signs of mental mastery. Greatness does not require superhuman strength. It requires a mind that refuses to be pulled in 1,000 directions. The strongest version of yourself is forged in the fire of focus, where your attention is directed fully toward growth, progress, and achievement. When you master your mind, you free yourself from the chains of fear and limitation. You stop reacting like a victim to circumstances, and you begin to act like a creator of destiny. You no longer wait for the world to change. You change yourself first, and the world bends to follow. Mastery of the mind does not mean you will never face doubt or fear again, but it means you will never let them control you. You become the one in control, the one who decides which thoughts to amplify and which to silence. That is the true power, the ability to choose your inner state regardless of external conditions. With this power, you unlock the strongest version of yourself, because the one who has mastered their mind cannot be defeated, not by failure, not by fear, not by life itself. Courage is the spark that turns thought into reality. You can master your mind, nurture belief, and build discipline, but without courage, your strength remains, locked inside, unused and unseen. Courage is the decision to step forward even when fear whispers in your ear, even when doubt tightens its grip, even when the path ahead is uncertain. It is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move despite it. The strongest version of yourself is not the one who feels no fear, but the one who feels fear fully and still acts. Courage transforms ideas into action, plans into progress, and dreams into destiny. Without it, life remains safe, small, and unfulfilled. With it, life becomes a battlefield of victories where each step forward proves your strength. Fear will always be present. It will show up whenever you attempt something new, whenever you stretch beyond comfort, whenever you rise to a higher standard. Most people wait for the fear to disappear before they act, and so they wait forever. Courage is the opposite. It is the choice to act while fear still lingers. It is the declaration that fear may exist, but it will not decide your future. Each act of courage weakens fear's control, while each act of hesitation strengthens it. The more you practice courage, the more natural it becomes, until fear no longer dictates your life. Courage is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows with use. The The strongest version of yourself is built through repeated acts of courage, until bravery is no longer something you do occasionally, but something you embody daily. Courage is not only for grand moments, it is also for the small, everyday choices that shape who you become. The courage to speak the truth when it is easier to stay silent. The courage to persist when quitting feels safer. The courage to start when the outcome is uncertain. These are the moments that build character, that sharpen your inner edge, that separate the strong from the weak. Life rewards those who dare. It does not reward hesitation. It does not reward excuses. It does not reward waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time does not exist. What exists is the moment you choose to act, with fear still in your chest and doubt still in your mind, but with determination burning stronger than both. The power of courage is that it multiplies itself. Each time you act with courage, you prove to yourself that you are capable, and that proof builds confidence. Confidence then fuels more courage, and together they create unstoppable momentum. This is how ordinary people accomplish extraordinary things, not because they never felt fear, but because they never let fear win. When courage becomes a habit, fear becomes irrelevant. You become a person who moves forward no matter what stands in the way. You become someone who transforms fear into fuel. You become the strongest version of yourself, because courage is the ultimate weapon against doubt, limitation, and hesitation. Strength is not only measured by power, achievement, or persistence. True strength is also measured by the ability to live with integrity and authenticity. Integrity means that your actions align with your values, that you do what is right even when no one is watching, that you hold yourself to a higher standard regardless of external rewards or recognition. Authenticity means that you live as yourself, not as a copy of someone else's expectations, not as a mask to gain approval, but as a person who dares to be real. Together, integrity and authenticity form the backbone of true strength. The strongest version of yourself is not built on lies, shortcuts, or pretense. It is built on the solid foundation of truth, character, and self-respect. Without these, even the greatest success becomes hollow. With them, even modest achievements shine with lasting power. Integrity is the discipline of being honest with yourself. It is the refusal to compromise your principles for temporary gain. It is the courage to walk away from what dishonors you, no matter how tempting it may seem in the moment. Every time you choose integrity, you choose strength. You prove to yourself that your values are more important than your comfort. You prove that your character is not for sale. Integrity is not about perfection, but about consistency. It is the decision, moment by moment, to do what aligns with your deepest truths. This builds trust with yourself and with the world around you. When you live with integrity, you stop fearing exposure because there is nothing to hide. You live light, free, and unshakable. The strongest version of yourself cannot be corrupted because it stands firmly on the ground of integrity. Authenticity is the courage to be yourself in a world that constantly pressures you to be someone else. It is easy to mold yourself into what others expect, to wear the masks that bring approval, to hide your true self for fear of rejection. But every time you betray who you are, you weaken your spirit. Strength comes when you embrace your uniqueness, your voice, your values, and your vision. Authenticity is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is the quiet confidence that says, I do not need to pretend because who I am is enough. The strongest version of yourself cannot be reached if you are living someone else's life. To be authentic is to unlock your full power, because all of your energy is directed toward living your truth rather than maintaining a lie. When you combine integrity with authenticity, you create unshakable strength. You become someone who is grounded in truth and fearless in expression. Your strength is no longer dependent on circumstances, approval, or image. It comes from within. You live with clarity because you know who you are and what you stand for. You live with peace because you no longer carry the burden of deception. And you live with impact because authenticity inspires others to do the same. Integrity and authenticity are not just virtues, they are power. They free you from the chains of fear and conformity, and they give you the courage to stand tall no matter what the world throws at you. This is the mark of the strongest version of yourself, a life lived with truth, courage, and unwavering authenticity. Strength reaches its highest form not when it is used only for personal gain, but when it is directed toward contribution. True greatness is not measured by what you collect, but by what you give. The strongest version of yourself understands that life is not just about survival or accumulation, but about impact. Every act of service, every moment of generosity, every effort to lift others leaves a mark that outlives you. Contribution is the way strength multiplies. When you share your knowledge, your courage, your vision, or even your presence, you ignite the same fire in others. The strongest people are not remembered because they kept everything for themselves, but because they gave what they had to the world. Legacy is built this way, through consistent acts of contribution that ripple through time. Contribution is not always grand or visible. It does not always come in the form of massive achievements or public recognition. Sometimes it is the quiet encouragement you give, the wisdom you pass on, the kindness you extend when no one is watching. Strength is expressed not only in conquering personal battles, but also in helping others fight theirs. Every life you touch adds to the story of your legacy. When you begin to see your life as a chance to serve rather than just a chance to succeed, you rise to a higher form of power. Contribution transforms personal strength into collective strength, and legacy is the evidence of that transformation. The strongest version of yourself is the one who realizes that the purpose of becoming strong is not to stand alone at the top, but to pull others up with you. Legacy is not something that appears at the end of life. It is being built right now, in the choices you make daily. Every word you speak, every action you take, every value you uphold is writing the story of your legacy. The question is not whether you will leave a legacy, but what kind it will be. Will it be a legacy of fear, doubt, and wasted potential, or a legacy of courage, integrity, and transformation? The strongest version of yourself is conscious of this truth and acts accordingly. They understand that legacy is not about perfection, but about direction. It is about consistently aiming your life toward purpose and meaning, knowing that your footsteps will guide others long after you are gone. When strength becomes contribution and contribution becomes legacy, your life takes on a depth and meaning that cannot be shaken by circumstances. Money fades, possessions decay, titles are forgotten, but the impact you make on people lasts forever. To live for contribution is to live beyond yourself, to extend your influence into the future, to shape a world that you may never fully see. That is true power, that is true strength. The strongest version of yourself is not the one who clings tightly to life, but the one who lives in such a way that their influence never ends. Strength is not complete until it becomes service, and service is what makes a legacy eternal. Strength is not a destination you arrive at once and for all. It is not a final state where everything is perfect, where all struggles disappear, or where you never have to fight again. Strength is a journey, a continuous process of becoming, a lifelong commitment to growth. The strongest version of yourself is not a fixed image. It is a moving force, always rising, always expanding, always evolving. Each day presents new challenges, new lessons, new chances to step into greater power. You do not become strong once and remain there without effort. You become strong by choosing it daily in the way you think, in the way you act, in the way you respond to life. Strength is built through repetition, through the unending decision to rise, through the refusal to stay stagnant. This journey requires humility because there will never be a point where you have learned everything, conquered everything, or mastered everything. The moment you think you are done growing is the moment you begin to weaken. Strength thrives in humility because humility keeps you open to correction, to new wisdom, to deeper understanding. The strongest version of yourself does not pretend to know it all, but seeks knowledge relentlessly. They do not hide from weaknesses, but confront them directly. They do not cling to past victories, but look forward to the next challenge. Strength is not about proving you are invincible. It is about becoming unshakable through continuous growth. The journey never ends, and that is what makes it so powerful. The ongoing journey of strength also requires patience. Too many people demand instant transformation, quick results, or effortless progress. But true strength is not built in a day or even in a year. It is forged over time through seasons of struggle and triumph, through years of discipline and persistence. Just as a tree grows slowly, with roots digging deeper and branches reaching higher, strength grows gradually, quietly, consistently. You may not see progress every day, but over time, the difference becomes undeniable. Patience is the understanding that strength is a lifelong investment, not a temporary project. Each small act of courage, each daily commitment, each moment of resilience compounds into something far greater than you can imagine. The beauty of this journey is that there is always more. No matter how far you come, there is another level of strength waiting to be discovered. There is always another barrier to break, another fear to conquer, another horizon to chase. This is what makes life meaningful, the constant evolution, the continuous pursuit of becoming more than you were yesterday. The strongest version of yourself is not a finish line, but a path. And as long as you are walking it, as long as you are striving, as long as you are refusing to quit, you are already living in strength. The journey does not end, and that is its greatest gift, because it means you can always rise higher, always expand further, always become stronger than you were before. True strength is not found in what you show the world on the surface, but in what you build within when no one is watching. It is born in silence, in persistence, in discipline, in the willingness to shape yourself into a person that nothing and no one can break. To become the strongest version of yourself, you must begin by facing the truth. Life will not make it easy for you. It will not hand you victories simply because you wish for them. Life demands resilience, courage, and unwavering self-control. Those who crumble at the first sign of difficulty never experience their full potential, because strength only grows when tested. Every challenge you face is an opportunity, not for comfort, but for growth. Every obstacle is a mirror showing you what you lack and what you must develop. The strongest do not ask for lighter burdens, they ask for stronger backs. That is the mindset you must adopt if you are serious about transformation. Your emotions will try to control you, but you must master them. Fear will whisper to you, but you must act anyway. Doubt will rise, but you must rise higher. Strength is not about pretending that weakness does not exist. It is about facing weakness head on and refusing to let it dictate your future. When your mind says stop, go one more step. When your body says enough, push a little further. When people tell you it can't be done, show them by doing it. The strongest version of yourself is waiting on the other side of your limits, but those limits will not move unless you challenge them relentlessly. You cannot expect comfort and greatness to exist in the same space. One will destroy the other, and the choice is yours. Strength also requires vision. You cannot build yourself into someone powerful if you do not know what you are building toward. Every day you must hold a clear picture of the person you are becoming. That vision will guide your actions, sharpen your focus, and keep you moving when the world tries to distract you. Without vision, effort is wasted. With vision, every effort compounds. Think of yourself not as you are, but as you could be if you unleashed your full power. Ask yourself, what would the strongest version of me do in this moment? Then act on that answer, even if it hurts, even if it demands sacrifice. Over time, those small decisions will carve a new identity within you. Do not seek approval, because the strongest version of yourself does not need validation. Do not seek shortcuts, because shortcuts weaken character. Do not seek pity, because pity chains you to your weakness. Instead, seek growth. Seek responsibility. Seek mastery. The strongest version of yourself emerges when you refuse to live as a victim of circumstances and choose to become the architect of your destiny. You have the ability to mold your life like clay, but it requires fire to harden it. That fire is struggle, discipline, and persistence. Let it shape you. Let it burn away the parts of you that no longer serve your higher purpose. The path will not be easy, but it will be worth it. The strongest version of yourself is not a fantasy. It is a reality waiting for your commitment. It is not outside of you, it is inside you, buried beneath layers of excuses, fears, and doubts. Strip those away. Confront them, destroy them, and in their place, build habits, resilience, and unshakable confidence. One day you will look back and realize that the person you became is far beyond the person you once imagined. That is the reward of the journey. That is the victory of the strong.